Frank and I created a piece called Big Farm, and Big Farm is pretty much about how people think differently on how the chickens they eat are produced and processed. And I got this idea by reading an article about how Tyson Farms goes through 30 million chickens a week, and that's a lot of chickens. And so the purpose of this is so it'll open people's eyes on what the reality of what they're doing, of what they're eating is, and that chickens are living things with no personality or emotions. And so I got influence from famous graffiti artists such as Lee Quinions and Cause because of the bright colors that they use. And to make this piece, I used hot glue, paper, and Scotch tape. And I intentionally used the hot glue and Scotch tape knowing that they would show because it kind of represents the living conditions that the chickens are in before they get slaughtered. So to make the chickens, I used construction paper, and I cut it with a blade. And then I used Sharpie to draw the details on the actual chickens. There are 5 separate ideas on my project. The first one is the factory where the chickens are processed, and it says nutrition on the side, meaning that that's where your food comes from. And then behind the factory there are paper scraps representing what a bunch of people think chickens are, which is nothing, just food. And then there's a free range section where all the birds are pretty spread out compared to the other parts, and they're flying. And then there is the tree, which represents how the big chicken companies mislead you by thinking that all natural and like free range and good for chickens. And then there's the reality portion, which is chickens lined up, and each chicken has different faces and different feathers and different details to represent that just like humans, chickens are all unique and special. And so I used patterns on a bunch of chickens. I used texture, like when I was putting the hot glue over the factory. And from concept to finish, I pretty much just went on so first I made the floor, and then I made the chickens, then I taped the chickens down, and then I made the tree, and then I made the factory. And that was how I made it. And I really don't have any resources or sketches about it because it can be hard to sketch it. And I felt like it'd be best if I just made it as I went, because it kind of like shows, it kind of lets my mind think more in depth about the idea.